I wasn't expecting anyone that night. It was almost midnight. I'd just gotten out of the shower, wrapped in a towel, with half a pizza on the coffee table and a true crime podcast playing in the background. The last thing I expected was a knock on my apartment door. Sharp, deliberate, way too confident for this late. I didn't move at first. I live alone, and it's not exactly the safest neighborhood. My first instinct wasn't curiosity, it was caution. I paused the podcast, threw on a hoodie, and crept toward the door, heart pounding harder with each step. Then I looked through the peephole, and my breath caught in my chest. Aaron. 4 years. That's how long it had been since I last saw him. Not since college. Not since that one night he kissed me, then ghosted me like it never happened. And now, there he was, standing on my doorstep in the rain like nothing had changed. Like everything hadn't changed. He looked the same and completely different. Same navy hoodie I used to steal when I was cold. Same intense eyes. But his face was leaner, jawline sharper, his hair longer and damp, curling slightly from the rain. There was something about the way he stood, uncertain, almost lost, that hit me harder than I expected. I opened the door slowly. "Hey," he said, voice low, rough. Like it hurt to say even that. "What the hell are you doing here?" I asked, arms crossed, hoodie damp against my skin. Aaron looked down, then up at me again. "I know I shouldn't have come. I didn't know who else to go to." That stopped me. Aaron was never the guy without a plan. Back in college, he always seemed like he had his life mapped out. Seeing him now, soaked, quiet, clearly unraveling, felt like someone had taken the version of him in my memory and cracked it in half. "You look like shit," I muttered. "Get in before you catch pneumonia." He stepped inside like he wasn't sure he belonged there anymore. I shut the door behind him and grabbed a towel. He took it without a word, rubbing the back of his neck, dripping on my rug. "You want to explain what this is?" I asked. "Because the last time I saw you, you kissed me, then disappeared." "I know," he said quietly. "I deserved that." I stared at him, jaw tight. "And now what? You thought you'd just show up out of nowhere and crash here like it's 2019? "No," he said, looking up at me with that same earnest expression that always used to mess with my head. "I didn't come here for a place to stay. I came here because I lost everything. My job, my apartment, my boyfriend. I burned every bridge I had." I folded my arms. "And you thought I'd be the one person still standing?" He nodded once. "You're the only person I ever trusted, even when I didn't know how to show it." I didn't answer. I wanted to tell him to leave, to say, too late. But instead, I looked at him, the guy who wrecked me years ago, who still somehow looked like home even though he'd walked away from it. And I sighed. "You hungry?" I asked. Aaron blinked. "What?" "There's pizza. It's cold. But I've got sriracha." He let out a small laugh. "Yeah, I could eat." We ate in silence at first. I sat cross-legged on one end of the couch, hoodie still damp from earlier, and he sat on the other, hunched forward like he was trying to take up less space than usual. He picked at the crust of the pizza, not really eating, just holding it. I couldn't stop watching him. His eyes looked tired. Not just tired like he'd had a bad week, but like he hadn't really rested in months. That Aaron, the one with the all-nighters and the 5-year plan, was gone. What sat on my couch now was quieter, slower, softer. "What happened?" I asked eventually. He ran a hand through his damp hair. "You want the short version or the full self-pity tour?" I didn't answer, just waited. Aaron sighed. "Okay, so I was in New York. Had a good job in marketing, nice apartment, and I was dating this guy, Luca, photographer, crazy talented. We moved in together after a year. I thought it was going to be something real." He paused. "Turns out, living together made him realize I wasn't, whatever he thought I'd be. We fought a lot. He left. I spiraled. Lost focus, Missed deadlines, burned bridges. Eventually lost the job too. Friends took sides. Most weren't mine. I leaned back, letting that settle. He continued, softer now. 3 weeks ago, I got evicted. I've been sleeping on a friend's couch, but she's moving in with her girlfriend, and I couldn't stay. So I booked a cheap bus and ended up here. Why not your family? I asked. Aaron gave a hollow laugh. My parents haven't talked to me since I came out. They were polite at first, then distant, then just gone. That landed like a punch. I didn't say anything at first. Just let the silence stretch until he finally looked up at me again. You didn't deserve that, I said quietly. He nodded, almost like he didn't believe me. And you didn't deserve what I did to you either. Ah, there it was. The unspoken thing finally dragged into the light. You kissed me, I said. I know. And then ghosted me like it meant nothing. Aaron's jaw clenched. It didn't mean nothing. Could have fooled me. I shot back. I panicked, all right, he said, louder now. You were my best friend. I was scared. I didn't know what it meant. And I thought if I pretended it didn't happen, we could just go back to normal. Well, that didn't work out too great for either of us, did it? His expression shifted then. Guilt, regret, maybe something else. I thought about you more than I want to admit, he said. Even when I was with Luca. Especially then. I didn't know what to say to that. My brain felt like a crowded train station. Too many thoughts arriving all at once. He leaned back against the cushions, running a hand over his face. Look, I'm not here asking for a second chance or anything. I didn't know where else to go. And I guess I needed to see if there was still someone in my life who didn't hate me. I looked at him for a long moment. I don't hate you. His eyes met mine. Could have fooled me, I sighed. I hated you for a while. But mostly, I just missed you. And that was the truth I hadn't let myself say out loud until now. Not even to myself. Aaron didn't respond right away. He just looked at me, really looked. And there was something raw in his eyes, something almost broken. Can I stay here for a few days? He asked, voice low. Just until I figure out what's next. I didn't answer right away. My head said no. My heart said it already had. Yeah, I said. You can stay. The first night he stayed, I gave him the bed and crashed on the couch. It wasn't a gesture of forgiveness. It was just practical. The couch was barely 6 feet long, and I'm 6'2", but I didn't care. It felt easier than sharing space with him. Being near him again, smelling that same detergent he used to wear, hearing his quiet footsteps in my apartment, was messing with my head more than I wanted to admit. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I remembered the night he kissed me. Not the kiss itself. I'd managed to file that away. It was everything after. The awkward silence. The way he couldn't even look me in the eye the next morning. The way he left early for class and then ghosted me for the rest of the semester. That stuck with me more than anything. By morning, I was exhausted, groggy, and slightly pissed off at myself for still caring this much. Aaron was already awake, standing in my kitchen like he hadn't disappeared for 4 years. He was making eggs, like we roommates again, back in our junior year. Barefoot, wearing one of my old t-shirts, sleeves pushed up. Hope you don't mind, he said, nodding at the stove. You were still out, and I couldn't sleep. You could have asked. Was gonna. Then I found the eggs. I didn't have the energy to argue. I grabbed a mug, poured some coffee, and leaned against the counter while he plated the food. He slid a plate toward me, not looking for praise, just like it was muscle memory. We ate quietly, the occasional clink of forks the only sound in the room. After a few bites, he cleared his throat. I meant what I said. I didn't come here expecting anything. Okay, I said, not looking up. But also, I'm not gonna lie. It's been good seeing you. I stayed quiet. He took a breath. Do you ever think about that night? I froze. Seriously? I asked, setting my fork down. Aaron winced. I know. Bad timing. But yeah, I think about it. A lot. Cool, I said flatly. Glad to know I've been living rent-free in your head while you were off being in love with someone else." "That wasn't love," he muttered. I turned toward him then. "No, but you moved in with him," he shrugged. "I was trying to be someone I wasn't, pretending I could just push everything else down." "Everything else being me?" Silence. "I hurt you," he finally said, voice quiet. "And not just because of the kiss. I left when I should have stayed. I ghosted the one person who meant something to me because I was scared shitless of what that kiss meant." I stared at him, unsure what to say. He stood, pacing to the window. I never felt something like that before. Not with anyone, and it scared the hell out of me. The anger that had lived in me for so long flickered, softened, turned into something messier, something closer to sadness. "You could have said that then," I said. I didn't know how. I leaned back in my chair. "And now?" He turned to face me. "Now I do." The silence stretched between us, heavy and strange. Not angry, not awkward, just charged. He stepped closer, slowly, cautiously, like he was testing the floor beneath him. "If I'm crossing a line, say so." "You already crossed it," I murmured. 4 years ago." Aaron swallowed hard. "Do you want me to take it back?" That hit me harder than it should have. I looked at him. Really looked. And something in me cracked open. "No," I said. But I still don't know what it meant. He nodded slowly. "Maybe we figure it out, together, this time." We didn't talk about it again that day. After breakfast, Aaron offered to help with some freelance editing work I had piling up. He always had a sharp eye for detail, and apparently, unemployment gave him time to kill. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table for most of the afternoon, laptops open, earbuds in, not saying much but somehow still in sync. It felt weirdly natural. Like the rhythm we had back in college had never left, like those missing years hadn't stretched between us, silent and sharp. That night, we ordered takeout and watched a dumb comedy, sitting on opposite ends of the couch like it was neutral ground. Still, his thigh was close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him. And every now and then, I'd glance over and catch him watching me, not staring, not intense, just soft, curious. When the movie ended, I stood up and stretched. "You taking the bed again?" He looked up at me, thoughtful. "You could join me, you know." The room went quiet. I didn't answer, and he didn't push. Instead, he just stood, grabbed the extra pillow from the couch, and disappeared into my room without another word. I lay awake for a long time on the couch that night, staring at the ceiling, my chest heavy with things I hadn't let myself feel in years. I thought I'd buried everything about Aaron so deep that even if he came back, it wouldn't matter. But it did. The next morning, I woke up late. Aaron had already gone out and come back with coffee. I blinked at the to-go cup on the kitchen counter like it was some kind of trap. "You remembered my order," I said, grabbing it. "Muscle memory," he said casually, but his smile gave him away. He settled onto the couch, scrolling through his phone. I took the armchair, trying not to overthink the easy vibe between us. But it was there again. That strange comfort. The feeling that we were just supposed to be in each other's space. "I've got a job interview next week," he said after a while. "Entry level. Not glamorous, but it's something." "That's good," I said. "You'll land on your feet," he shrugged. "I hope so, but I'm more worried about burning bridges I can't rebuild." I met his gaze. "This bridge isn't burned. It's just under construction." That made him smile, really smile, for the first time since he showed up. Later that day, we ended up cooking dinner together, something quick and messy that made the whole kitchen smell like garlic and butter. He was cutting vegetables while I stirred sauce, and I caught myself thinking, this feels like home. I shouldn't have let myself think that. Not yet, but the thought was there, no matter how hard I tried to ignore it. That night, after we finished cleaning up, I turned to him. "I'll take the bed tonight. You good on the couch?" Aaron nodded. "Of course." I paused at the hallway. He looked up. Unless what? "Unless you don't want to be alone." There it was again. That careful offer, wrapped in vulnerability, held out like a gift he was afraid I'd reject. I didn't answer. I just turned and walked into the bedroom. A minute later, I heard the soft creak of the couch as he got up, the sound of footsteps, the hesitation in the hallway. Then the door opened. He didn't say anything when he stepped inside. Just hovered in the doorway for a second, like he was giving me a chance to stop him. I didn't. I just pulled back the covers on the far side of the bed, lay down, and turned off the light. The room went dark, except for the soft glow from the street outside. I heard the soft rustle of fabric as Aaron pulled off his hoodie, then the faint creak of the mattress as he settled in next to me. We lay there in silence. The kind that wasn't awkward, but heavy with every word we weren't saying. I stared at the ceiling, heartbeat way too loud in my ears. I could feel him, his warmth, his breathing, the slight dip in the mattress between us. Every part of me was screaming to stay still, stay neutral, stay safe. Then I felt his hand, hesitant, light, brush against mine under the covers. He didn't grab it, didn't try to hold it, just a touch, a question. And I answered by turning my palm up. Our fingers slid together like they remembered how. And the second we touched, I felt that familiar ache, like something I'd been missing without even knowing it had just come home. I used to dream about this, he said, barely above a whisper. I didn't answer, but I didn't let go. I would think about how it could have gone differently, he continued, if I hadn't screwed everything up. His thumb brushed the side of my hand. And I always told myself, if I ever got the chance to fix it, I wouldn't waste it. I exhaled, slowly. I'm not promising anything, Aaron. I know, he said immediately. I'm not asking you to. The silence returned, but it was warmer now. Not empty, full. Eventually, I rolled onto my side to face him. Even in the dim light, I could see the tired set of his features, the hope in his expression tucked behind quiet eyes. He looked different, but he still looked like Aaron. I don't know if I can trust you again, I said. He nodded. Then let me earn it. I didn't answer right away, just let the silence settle, and then, without thinking, I rested my forehead lightly against his. He didn't move, didn't push. We just stayed like that, two people trying to unlearn the years between us. And maybe, just maybe, start again. The next morning, I woke up with his arm draped across my waist. It wasn't some intense movie moment. It was subtle, gentle. His body was warm against mine, his breath slow and even on the back of my neck. I could have shifted away, could have pretended it was too much, too soon. But I didn't. I stayed there, eyes closed, listening to the quiet hum of the city waking up beyond the window and the steady rhythm of Aaron breathing behind me. It was strange how natural it felt, like no time had passed, like we hadn't spent 4 years apart building lives that had nothing to do with each other. Like this, waking up tangled in each other, wasn't something brand new. I think he was still asleep when his hand tightened slightly around me. Just enough that I could feel the pressure, the want. I turned around slowly. His eyes were half-lidded, somewhere between sleep and morning haze. But the moment he saw me, really saw me, he blinked, like he was trying to make sure it wasn't a dream. Morning, he murmured, voice rough. Morning. We lay there, facing each other, the silence stretching again, but this time it was a good thing. Not awkward, just quiet, close. I didn't mean to hold you, he said, starting to move his arm. Don't, I said. It's fine. He stopped. And for a second, it was like we both realized what this moment meant, how different it felt from the tension of the past few days. It wasn't dramatic. Wasn't some grand confession. It was just soft. Real. Eventually, I got up, made coffee, tried to act normal even though nothing about this felt normal anymore. Aaron joined me in the kitchen, yawning, scratching his chest through one of my t-shirts. He moved around like he'd lived here for years, like he knew where everything was, because he kind of did. You want eggs again? He asked. You're not trying to get back into my life just through breakfast, are you? He smirked. It's a start. We ate together, talked about nothing, laughed over a dumb meme I showed him. He teased me about my cracked phone screen. I mocked his bedhead. And for those few hours, it felt easy. It felt like us. Later, he sat on the balcony, smoking a cigarette he bummed from a neighbor, legs stretched out, hair tied back. I leaned on the doorway, watching him, noticing things I'd trained myself to forget. How his nose crinkled when he squinted at the sun, the way he tapped his fingers against his knee when he was thinking. "I was scared you'd slam the door in my face," he said suddenly. "I almost did," I replied. He nodded. "You had every right." "I still might," I added. But there was no heat behind it, just honesty. Aaron looked up at me, the city's reflection in his eyes. "Can I tell you something?" "Yeah, I didn't just come back because I had nowhere else to go," he said, standing up, walking back toward me. "I came back because I realized what I lost, and I couldn't live with myself if I didn't at least try to make it right." He stopped just in front of me. "I don't expect anything from you, but if you let me stay a little longer, I'll prove I'm not the same guy who left." I didn't move, didn't answer. I just stepped back and left the door open. By the end of the week, it felt like he'd always been there. He folded his laundry on my couch, stocked my fridge without asking, and left his socks in the bathroom like he owned the place. And I let him. Not because I forgot what happened between us, but because something about having him back felt right. But it wasn't just the routines that settled in. It was the looks, the near touches, the quiet tension that never quite left the room. One night, we sat on the floor playing a board game. Neither of us remembered how to win. The lights were low. A thunderstorm rolled outside, heavy and slow, filling the apartment with the kind of quiet that made everything feel sharper. Aaron leaned back on his hands, watching me as I made a move. "You always cheat," he said. "You're just bad at losing." He smirked, but then his gaze lingered, held. Something shifted. "You know what the worst part of losing you was?" he asked, his voice softer now. I didn't answer. I just waited. I didn't realize it until way too late. I thought I missed the comfort, the history. But it wasn't that. It was you. Just you. The room felt too quiet after that. Even the storm outside seemed to pause. "I didn't know how to be honest with myself back then," he said. "Let alone with you." I set the game piece down. "So what are you being now?" He looked straight at me. "Brave." And then he leaned in. It wasn't dramatic, wasn't rushed, just a slow, careful movement like he was giving me time to stop him. But I didn't. I met him halfway. The kiss was soft at first, uncertain, like we were both afraid of waking from it. His hand cupped my jaw gently, and I felt my whole body go still, then melt into his. There was nothing unfinished about it this time. No confusion, no regret, just heat, and the quiet, unmistakable truth of everything we'd been holding back. We didn't rush. We didn't need to. It wasn't about making up for lost time. It was about finally letting ourselves have it. Later, we lay in bed, tangled in the dark, not talking, not needing to. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. The morning after felt different. Not awkward, not tense, just quiet. Like everything had shifted into place. I woke up to sunlight pouring through the window, and Aaron still asleep beside me, his arm heavy across my waist, his face tucked into the pillow like he hadn't had sleep that deep in years. And maybe he hadn't. For a while, I just watched him breathe. I never thought I'd get to see him like this again. Not really. Not without bitterness lodged between us. But there he was. Here. And I realized something. All those years I'd spent wondering what that kiss had meant, why he left, if I'd ever stopped thinking about it, they all led to this. He stirred eventually, eyes fluttering open, gaze landing on me with a sleepy smile. "Hey," he said, voice thick with sleep. "Hey," I replied. Neither of us said anything else right away. We didn't need to. The silence between us was finally easy. He reached for my hand under the blanket and laced his fingers through mine. "I meant what I said," he murmured, "about wanting to do this right. If you'll let me." I nodded. "Then stay." That was it. No grand speech, no heavy declarations. Just a choice. A mutual one. To stop running. to stop pretending, to build something with no expiration date this time. The next few weeks weren't perfect. He still left socks everywhere. I still worked too late. We got in small arguments over groceries and who forgot to do laundry. But he stayed. I stayed. And that was the difference. Sometimes I'd catch him looking at me across the room, coffee in hand, hair a mess, eyes soft, and I'd think, this is what I waited for. Not just the apology, not just the kiss, but the version of him who came back ready. And this time, when he leaned in to kiss me again, I didn't brace for the goodbye. I kissed him back like I knew he wasn't going anywhere. Because he wasn't.